The Legion PvP talents will be accessible in addition to your normal PvE talents, so you may want to check out the baseline non-PvP talents, as some of their combinations with PvP talents will be discussed. Links to the Affliction and Destruction class changes are on screen. I've also left a space for the one I'm doing on Demonology if that artifact weapon becomes available soon. If there is an annotation over that area, then be sure to check out that one as well. There are 6 tiers of PvP talents structured similar to the current PvE talent system. These talents are to be earned through attaining honor levels. The exact rate of completion is yet to be determined, but the intention is that reaching max honor level will take some time. The usual vague answer non-answer from Blizzard. Tiers 1 through 4 are common to all of our specs. 5 and 6 are dependent on which spec you are running. So starting with Tier 1, Gladiator's Medallion. It's an instant cast with a 2-minute cooldown. Removes all movement impairing effects and all effects which cause loss of control of your character. So it's the PvP trinket in talent form. So now we, rest of us, can have a real trinket in its place like the Filthy Humans. This also means the human racial will be changed to something else in a future update. I assume this talent also means PvP trinkets will be removed, otherwise you'll choose one of the other 2 talents of the tier and a PvP trinket to essentially get 2 CC breakers. It would only make sense for that to be the case. Adaption. All full loss of character effects with a duration of 5 seconds or longer will be removed shortly after being applied. This effect has a 90-second cooldown. This means full loss CC can still be used as an interrupt because it needs to apply, then it can be removed. This doesn't prevent the CC, it only ends it quickly. I think the medallion is superior since you can control when to use it, say to remove a very large slow instead of just a loss of character effect. The drawback of the medallion is you need to react quickly and decide whether or not you want to break this CC effect. Relentless. Duration of incoming crowd control effects reduced by 25%. Straightforward. Reduces all the bad stuff by a quarter. So with this tier, you can either have a one-off counter, a more frequent one-off counter that you don't have control over, or reduce everything by 25%. Tier 2, Train of Thought. Damage increased by 15%. Being attacked will cancel this effect for 8 seconds. So it sounds like it's good for first encounters, but useless when your opponent retaliates, unless you have some good chain CC. Almost useless in non-1v1 situations, as damage is flung everywhere. Mind Quickness. Increases haste by 15%. So it's a permanent haste buff that will allow you to prioritize other stats like mastery and crit on your gear without feeling like you're slowly casting through tar. Initiation. Critical strike chance increased by 30% on targets at or above 80% health. Similar to Train of Thought, good for first encounters, but then it's kind of useless. However, it does work as a means to keep up pressure on the healers that are trying to keep their people topped off. They will be frustrated after you tear down their team member after just getting them topped again. For this tier, I think Mind Quickness will win out because it's active throughout the entire battle, not just initially. Tier 3, the Return of Curses. Oh, this is great. Curse of Tongues increases the casting time of all spells of your target by 30% for 10 seconds with a 15-second cooldown. So apply to healers, not druids, and casters, and hear them groan. Curse of Weakness reduces the target's physical damage dealt by 25% for 10 seconds with a 20-second cooldown. The damage taken part of this old spell was removed. You want to apply it to melee and hunters. Curse of Fragility reduces the target's maximum health by 20% for 10 seconds with a 45-second cooldown. This is a new curse. Looks good for pushing targets down, but since they were bringing back 2 existing curses, I was really hoping for a Curse of Elements or Curse of Exhaustion. Curse of Elements increases the damage your target takes from magic damage, and Curse of Exhaustion slows your target's movement speed. Fragility is sort of like Curse of Elements, but it is a double-edged sword. You essentially do 20% more damage, as do your allies, to the target, but any non-percentage based heals, namely from enemy healers, also heal for effectively 20% more life. This tier is very preferential, and I like that about talents, as this was Blizzard's original goal. They wanted the feeling of optional instead of required. So as a player, if you are drawn to target other casters or healers, choose Curse of Tongues. If you can't handle getting targeted by rogues or warriors, these are my bane of existence, take Weakness to reduce the damage they deal to you. If you're good at coordinating with the team and single targeting an enemy down, choose Fragility. Tier 4, Improved Health Funnel. Health Funnel reduces the damage taken by your demon by 20%. This used to be baseline included with Health Funnel and was used frequently with pet tank type fights. Probably more useful when your demon poses a large threat to your enemies like the Fell Puppy or Succubus, that will be killed as soon as possible by your opponent. If you use a more mundane pet like the Imp or Voidwalker that just shells out some damage, this talent will probably not be that useful. Improved Health Stone. Not yet implemented, so we don't know what this is exactly. The current Improved Health Stone is a glyph that makes Healthstone heal 100% more, so double, but over 10 seconds. Which, as a talent, it can still work, but it will be incredibly powerful with Affliction's new 100% Healthstone from the Dead One Harvester artifact weapon. If this talent still doubles the heal like the original Improved Healthstone, then this would give Affliction Warlocks 200% max health over 10 seconds, or 20% every second for 10 seconds. Not to mention the raid-wide Healthstone usage giving Affliction locks even more heals, taking the pressure off heals in your group. I envision that during a push, the healer could swap to some off-spec damage instead of healing you, and you as a lock could just plant yourself and turret away at a target because of the now almost passive regen. This could even be combined with Dark Pact as an additional buffer, the Absorb Shield, and or Unending Resolve damage reduction if that is still a spell. Demon Skin increases the healing bonus of your Fel armor by 15%. Healing received by your demons is increased by 15% as well. This talent is probably obsolete and is meant to work with the current version of Fel armor, which I believe is a 10% damage reduction. If not, then it's aimed specifically towards the Imp, which doesn't make sense. The Imp's old raid-wide stamina buff via Life Pact has been renamed to Fel armor, so this talent needs some updating. For the healing received by your demons, this means that any heals received from you or your healers is increased by 15%, so this will help keep your pet alive. Similar to the improved health funnel, if your demon is a high priority target, this will be a good talent to get. On to the spec-specific tiers. Affliction's Tier 5, Borrowed Souls. Unstable Affliction refunds 1 soul shard when it is dispelled or ends its duration, so you can cast Unstable Affliction as much as you want. The only way you wouldn't have enough soul shards to go around is if you cast Unstable Affliction on the same target multiple times and extend the duration, because when that very long Unstable Affliction expires, it will only refund 1 shard. Or, you're in a battleground and this limits you to only casting 5 Unstable Afflictions at a time, unless you regenerate a shard in between, and then it would be a treadmill of spreading new Unstable Afflictions as the old ones fall off. Nightmares. Fear causes your damage over time effects on the target to manifest into nightmares. The nightmares deal 70% of their remaining periodic damage and generate 1 soul shard. You can only gain 1 soul shard every 30 seconds from nightmares. Based on the wording, Fear will now remove your damage over time effects, and as it's doing so, deals 7/10 of the remaining dot damage instantly and generates a soul shard. Then it will cause the loss of control. Notice it doesn't remove all dot effects, just yours. So if you're grouping up with other dot classes, keep that in mind. Siphon Soul. Your Drain Life grants 1 soul shard every 3 seconds, effectively turning it into Drain Soul. Drain Soul in Mists of Pandaria, I believe, used to generate soul shards like this if the target was below 25% health. That way you could keep Haunt up 100% of the time during Execute. I think during Cataclysm you could generate shards whenever you wanted, but Drain Soul didn't do its usual 4 times damage during Execute, so it was actually DPS lost to do this instead of your normal filler. But if you really needed soul shards, you could get them, though painstakingly. Tier 6. Amplify Afflictions. Reduces the cooldown of your curses, meaning the ones from the Tier 3 talents, Agony, Corruption, and Unstable Affliction by half a second. This used to be a glyph, if I recall. It doesn't mention Siphon Life, though. Reap Soul is not included because it's a multi-second cast time, but Siphon Life is an instant cast. I know it's a talent, but it may be something for them to consider. Unstable Affliction has the 1.5 second cast time, so unless you're glyphing for the reduced cast speed, that's assuming the glyph is still in the game. And if you take the 15% haste, you may not need it anyways. Lasting Affliction increases the duration of Unstable Affliction by 6 seconds, so it goes up to 14 seconds from the base 8 seconds. Soul Swap copies your damage over time effects on the target, preserving the duration. Your next use of Soul Swap will exhale a copy of the dots onto a new target, so it's the same as it is now. So, Soul Swap isn't gone despite Blizzard stating it will not be returning. They just decided to make it a PvP only talent, and I still think it's going to be overpowered. For Legion, you will not use Soul Swap unless you have an Unstable Affliction on the target that you are copying with this. I think this will need some sort of nerf, like only copying up to 3 dots or something like that. If you would like to know more about why I think this nerf is required, please see the video on screen explaining why Soul Swap is overpowered in its current form. Alright, moving on to Demonology. We don't know everything about Demonology, like what's on the artifact weapon, or what exactly the abilities do, but we do know what the PvP talents are. So Demonology Tier 5. Improved Demonic Empowerment. Demonic Empowerment is now instant cast. Demonic Empowerment is the new 1.5 second cast spell that empowers up to 3 of your demons, increasing their haste and health by 50% for 12 seconds. Demonic Resilience reduces the duration of snares, roots, and stun effects on your summoned demons by 75%. This is going to be very, very important, especially since Demonology has 3 melee pets now. It has 2 Dreadstalkers, and it has the either Felpumpy or the Felguard. This talent is important to keep pressure up on your target. You would hate to have a mage Ring of Frost or freeze them in place and then let him get away. The imps are largely unaffected by this because they don't usually move a whole lot, unless they're chasing the target to get back into casting range. Mana Feed. Dreadstalker melee attacks restore 1% of your maximum mana. This will help offset life tapping and also provide some passive mana regeneration to help trigger the mana tap talent from the PvE tree. Tier 6 is currently missing a talent, but the 2 that we do have starts with Dreadstalker Frenzy. Your Dreadstalkers gain Frenzy for 5 seconds when summoned, and they last for 12 seconds total usually, and they attack 50% faster. Call Observer. Summons an observer over a friendly target's head, shooting lasers at the nearest enemy every so often for 30 seconds. It deals more damage the closer to the enemy it is, with a 1-minute cooldown. So stick on your main pet, not the Dreadstalkers, as they only last 12 seconds. One of your melee friends, or if you find yourself being focused by enemy melee players, stick it on yourself. On to Destruction. Tier 5, Improved Backdraft, increases the effectiveness of Backdraft by an additional 20% and increases its duration by 3%. This one will need to be replaced as Backdraft is no longer a baseline ability, similar to the talent in the artifact weapon. Fell Fissure. Conflagrate creates an eruption of fell fire at the target's location, dealing shadow damage every 1 second for 5 seconds to all enemies within 5 yards of the initial target. Blizzard Stop Crossing damage types. This is Destruction, a fire-based spec. It should either be fire damage or shadow flame damage at a bare minimum, not purely shadow damage. You guys made the dehomogenization back in Mists of Pandaria for a reason. Keep to it. Incineration. Incinerate refreshes the duration of Immolate. Kind of like how Shadow Bolt used to refresh Corruption as Affliction during Wrath and Cataclysm. Tier 6 for Destruction is also missing a talent, but the 2 that we do have. Improved Chaos Bolt reduces the cast time of Chaos Bolt by half a second. So from the 3-second base cast down to 2.5, so it's essentially giving you the reduced cast time from the tier bonus as a talent. Bane of Havoc. Curses the ground with a demonic bane, causing all of your single target spells to also strike targets marked with the bane. Lasts 10 seconds. It sounds like an AoE ground effect to apply havoc to all those hit. It doesn't specify a radius though. They actually borrowed the name from the original Bane of Havoc, which was just renamed to Havoc. And that is it for the Legion Warlock PvP talents thus far. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys liked the video, please like it. If you're new around here, subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or feedback, please leave them below. Thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.